Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. It is Friday. I'm excited for the show. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Jenny. I'm ready for the weekend. Get me a little sun, relax, and have some fun. I don't know about you, Skip.
All I know is it's Friday, and I'm wearing GOAT, as in my Lil Wayne necklace, on GOAT, as in the logo. You know what that is. And it's worn by the GOAT.
Oh. No.
I think you're...
It's only one GOAT in all those GOATs that you mentioned. Just one. That's Weezy. All the rest of them, nah.
Shannon, I'm pretty sure he just called himself the GOAT. That is a good way to start the show today. And I feel only appropriate that we do begin with Skip's Cowboys, because Andy Dalton is now considered one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. And while Dak Prescott continues his negotiations with the Cowboys, some think Dak may be playing with fire, having a capable veteran waiting in the wings. So we looked at the lines for next season's Cowboys games with and without Dak. Get this, according to Fox Bet, the Cowboys are worth 4 more points per game with Dak starting over Andy Dalton. So, Skip, I want to ask you about your Cowboys. Do you agree that Dak would be worth 4 extra points?
Shannon Sharpe, when I saw this last night on Fox Bet, the top of my head blew off. I'm way down here in my little humble abode. You're way up there in your palatial estate in Bel Air. The top of my head blew off and went all the way to Bel Air. Look, I love Dak Prescott, but when did Dak Prescott turn into Tom Brady meets Michael Jordan? I mean, it was just last August that NFL.com came out with its annual top 100 players in the NFL survey as voted upon by the players. And Dak Prescott was not even in the top 100. And then he quarterbacked my Dallas Cowboys to an 8-8 record, during which he went 1-6 versus the playoff teams that they played last year. And he did not make the Pro Bowl because he did not play great down the stretch, especially at New England and at Philadelphia. And now you're telling me that if Andy Dalton replaces Dak Prescott, that suddenly it's going to create a 4-point swing in the betting lines? Do you realize 4 points is? It's unheard of. It's an avalanche. It's a tsunami. It's a California earthquake. It just rarely happens. And wait a second, that's enormous, and that is preposterous. It's not going to happen, because we are talking here about Andrew Gregory Dalton, the new backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Andy Dalton is a 3-time Pro Bowler. Andy Dalton, in his first 5 years for the Bungles, playing for the lousy Cincinnati Bungles, he averaged 10 wins a year for 5 years. Look it up. They made the playoffs 4 of those 5 years. He did not play well in the playoffs, but he got the Bungles to the playoffs 4 times. Over that span of those 5 years, he had the 3rd most wins in all of pro football, behind Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And in his career, he's had the 5th most fourth-quarter comebacks since his rookie year in the National Football League. In as late as 2017, he led the NFL in fourth-quarter comebacks. And dare I even mention, we're talking about the Andy Dalton who at TCU, which happens to be very near Jerry World, as a native Texan, he guided the Horned Frogs to 13-0 his last year there. They won the Rose Bowl. They finished 2nd in the nation. He has won a whole bunch of football games because he has started 133 NFL games in his career, and he's only 32 years of age. And now you're telling me that it's like Tom Brady would be replaced by Cooper Rush, who's a former backup quarterback for the Cowboys? No, it's Andy Dalton. It's not Cooper Rush. Maybe I'd give you with Cooper Rush a 4-point swing. But you're trying to tell me that Michael Jordan's going to be replaced in the starting lineup by Steve Kerr? Andy Dalton is not Steve Kerr.
2 points.
He is so much better than Steve Kerr. And in the end, Shannon, I've said this before on the show, and now I'm going to say it again with all my heart and soul. If Dak Prescott does hold out, let's do hypothetically through the whole next football season. It's a possibility as we speak. I believe that Andy Dalton, if he started all 16 games, could win 10 of them. Fox Bet says he would only be favored to win 4. So you're telling me Andy Dalton would go 4-12? No. I say he could win 10 wins with this weaponry and a top 5 offensive line and Ezekiel Elliott behind him. Are you kidding me? I'll go 10. I'm not saying he's better than Dak. Obviously, he's not. Dak might be able to win 11 or 12 games, but he's not that much worse than Dak Prescott. So in the end, I say preposterous.
So before I launch, what do you think the ideal point spread should be between Dak and Andy Dalton?
A half a point, maybe 1, maybe.
Oh, man, you better
more like
stop.
a half. No, I better start.
You ought to stop.
Shannon, a half a point swing in a point spread is pretty significant. Again,
It is.
This is like a hurricane hit.
Skip, well, it makes sense to me because I believe Dak is a better quarterback at this point in his career than Andy Dalton is at this point in his career. But, Skip, if when you look at it, out of 32 quarterback rooms, that's only the 17th best. I mean, you're looking at Russell Wilson. He's 10 points. Lamar is 8. Patrick Mahomes is 7. Skip, so if you look at it, Drew Brees to Jameis is 3. Drew Brees to turnover machine Jameis. So, Skip, I'm not surprised that is 4 points. Now, Skip, you said they're going to mean they're going to go 4 and whatever. No, that means that the Cowboys would be favored. And if the line is, say, 4 points, that means it might be a pick-a-ball game, Skip. You don't start the game with those points or minus those points. That's just for, people like you and myself, to pick up a cool couple of bucks. You don't gamble anymore. But anyway, Skip, I do agree with it. I was surprised. I thought it would have been a little, honestly, I thought it was going to be a little higher. Considering, Skip, that last year Andy Dalton was 30. Listen, Andy Dalton, Skip, was 29 out of 30 in QBR. He did start the season 0-8. They went to Ryan Finley, and they ended up going back to Andy Dalton. So Andy Dalton did not play particularly well. And he hasn't played well, Skip. I understand his first 5 years, but Andy Dalton has been in the league about 9 years. So the last 4 hasn't been as productive as the first 5. And you have to factor that in. Skip, he did allow them to get Joe Burrow on his watch. He started. There's a reason why they got Joe Burrow. But, Skip, when you look at it, 4 points is really not a lot. When you look at some of the other quarterbacks, and you're like, that's it. At least he's not Mitchell Trubisky. It's minus 2. So, in other words, they're losing points by starting Trubisky as opposed to starting Nick Foles, Skip. But 4 points, Skip, and I get what you're saying, because normally you get 3 points for the home field. Especially if you're playing at home, you get 3 points. So basically they're saying if Dak does not play, he's 4 points better in every single game than Andy Dalton. And I can see that, Skip, because I do believe that right now, as we speak, that Dak Prescott is considerably better. Skip, I'm not talking about, I think what you do, you try to fact this like they got Dak like a Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. And I'm not saying that, but I do believe Skip, he's 4 points better than Andy Dalton. And I believe they will win more games. They will be in contention in more games if Dak is the starter. Now, Skip, what they did with getting Andy Dalton is that they gave themselves, like, as Stephen Jones says, Skip, now he can sleep at night. Because I can assure you, if this thing was going to linger on in the training camp, he was not going to rest peacefully knowing that Cooper Rush is his backup. At least now, Skip, he might, sleep in 2-3 hour increments, but he ain't going to get a full night's sleep like he would if old Dak was the quarterback. He'd sleep a full 8 hours like he was taking Ambien. He would sleep good, rest. Yeah, we got this game. But that's not going to happen because Dak wants his money. But I do agree with FoxBet that Dak Prescott is at least 4 points better than Andy Dalton.
Shannon, Sharpe. Andy Dalton was so bad last year, and I remind you, he was playing with the worst team in the NFL, but he was so bad that there were rampant reports and speculation that he was headed for New England to replace Tom Brady because everybody wrote or spoke that Andy Dalton's the perfect fit in New England. He's Brady-esque. He'll be able to segue right into that Tom Brady offense and run it almost as well as Tom Brady does. I thought that was where he was headed. The big thought was he's going to have to take far less money than he was scheduled to make in Cincinnati. Jerry Jones stole him for $3 million a year. I know I'm sleeping way better because Andy Dalton is my quote-unquote backup. He's the best backup in pro football. He's not just a backup. He's a starter of a backup. He's more like a 1A. He is the ace that Jerry Jones just pulled out of his sleeve in this card game with Dak and his new agent. And again, Shannon, I have such mixed emotions because no one has defended Dak Prescott any harder than I have. But I never said he was Tom Brady. I said he could be Brady-esque. But I never said he was better than Mahomes, or I haven't said he's better than Lamar or Deshaun. I just said he's maybe the 10th best quarterback in the league. And now you're telling me he would get replaced by a man with those credentials that I just detailed about Andy Dalton, and you're telling me that the sky would fall on the Dallas Cowboys? It would not. And Shannon, now we get down to the crux of this argument. This is the reason there's a stalemate right now between Jerry and the new agent, Todd France, as you well know. Right. The stalemate is caused because Jerry and Stephen Jones look at what they have and they say, is it the weapons or is it the quarterback? Obviously, the quarterback is very good, but the weapons are sensational. Again, Pro Football Focus just ranked the Dallas Cowboys receiving corps as third best in the league behind Tampa Bay's and Kansas City's. That's extraordinary. That's sensational to me because I didn't see it coming that they would be able to draft CeeDee Lamb. I told you all year, he's the best receiver in college football. They had him ranked 6th on their board. He fell into their laps at 17. So all of a sudden, Dak Prescott should be thanking his lucky stars. He's got another weapon. And Shannon, that I realize, Travis Fredericks, I got all that. And there's been some age and attrition in the offensive line. It's still going to be top 5. Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, even Ty Smith, it's a top 5 line. So you have to ask yourself, is it the quarterback? Is he more game manager? Does he go along for the ride occasionally? I was disappointed in Dak last year. I told you, at New England, not very good. I even go back to the first of the year. At New Orleans, not great. At Philly, not great. Yeah. Had a shoulder banged up, and he was not great. You didn't like him at all. You didn't like anything he did last year. So now we're talking about him like he is truly the GOAT. And I missed it that he became the GOAT. I overslept on that day. I don't know.
You talk about these great weapons that the Cowboys have now in place to surround Dak. So let me ask you a question. Were the weapons that he has now, were they greater than the weapons that the Cowboys had in 2014? So if I give you right now, I'll give you Amari Cooper or I give you Dez at his apex. Who you taking? If I give you Blake Jarwin or I give you 2014 Jason Witten, who you taking? If I give you Zeke Elliott at his absolute best, who you taking? DeMarco Murray, 1848. You see what I'm saying? And you got a young Ty Smith, and you got a young Zach Martin, and you got a young Travis Frederick. So in other words, they've always had weapons. and they had Tony Romo, who's the highest paid quarterback. What did it get him? So now all of a sudden, you say we've given you more weapons. No, you haven't, because you would take Dez Bryant at his apex over Amari Cooper right now. Even though you fell out with Dez because you said he became broken down, and he did.
I got it. No.
I guarantee you.
I give you that.
Okay? But Skip, here's one more thing before I turn it back over to you, Skip. When you look at it, Skip, do you realize Aaron Rodgers is only +5 over Jordan Love, who's never taken a snap? Let that sink in. He's only 5 better than Jordan Love. Wentz is only 5.5 over Jalen Hurts. These guys have never played. Skip, at least Andy Dalton has played, and I get it. You say, well, hold on, this guy's been in the league 9, 10 years. He's gone to Pro Bowls. He's taken a team. I get all that. But, Skip, 17th out of 15, and you look at some of the names on here that have a close margin like Dak, Skip, I don't really think it's that far-fetched. I really don't.
Okay, back to 2014. You make some good points. Yeah, I would have taken that Dez over this Amari, especially the Amari who quit on me last year at Jets, at New England, at Philly. It's hard for me to stomach that right now, so I'm not in a good place with Amari. And they just gave him $100 million, so you got me on that one.
Exactly.
And then, you know, DeMarco that year was extraordinary. That he died for the cause, so to speak, because he gave him about all he had left in his body. And he was more productive that year than Zeke certainly was last year. Zeke fell off just a little bit. I think the holdout got him. He was running in Cabo San much of the year and not quite himself. I'm looking for bounce back. But the offensive line was pretty good in 24. I give you all that. You had those younger players not quite even coming into their prime. Okay, I will give you that. And you say, what did it get you? Well, it got me robbed at Green Bay. That's what it got me, because they went up and beat Aaron Rodgers' in his own house. They won on the frozen tundra, the sacred Lambeau Field, and Dez caught it. That's what Dez caught it and ran with it 2 strides and took it in his left hand because he's left-handed and slammed it on the goal line like running backs do. And they said, no catch. What are you talking about? We won that game. We had won at Seattle already that year, so we would have gone to Seattle the next week in the NFC Championship game, and I believe we would have won that game. So that's what that got me. Is Tony Romo better than Dak Prescott? No, I've said from the start, Dak has better intangibles than Tony. Tony went blind under fire and just threw up jump balls toward Dez Bryant, and too many times he threw them to the wrong team. I give you that. Dak just flat out, fair and square, beat out Tony Romo when Dak was a rookie. And Tony, after the game at Pittsburgh, you remember, walked in the locker room and turned to Stephen Jones and basically said, I concede. That is so, remember what he said, that's so effing good that nobody understands how great he just was against the Steelers in their house when he and Zeke took over that game as rookies, as you recall. That's not easy. The week we had been up in New York at the UFC in Madison Square Garden. So the point is, in the end, I give you all that, but I also give you all this, because they did not have a second. They did not have a CeeDee Lamb. He's going to, I told you the day after the draft, he's going to change life for Dak Prescott, just the way Amari started to change it when he came at midseason, obviously, 2 years ago. It started to turn quickly. Dak did need some help. I still love Dak. I'm not trying to denigrate him in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, no, he's not that much better than Andy Dalton. But Shannon, you know and I know, the reason I get so upset about this is, as we speak, Todd France is running back to the negotiating table to get Jerry on the phone to say, hey, Jerry, did you see what Fox Bet said? You're going to be in big trouble if you start Andy Dalton. You're only going to be favored in 4 games next year if you have to go to resort to Andy Dalton. And it's been this bizarre run of accolades for Dak Prescott lately that I don't get. I'm starting to call them Dacolades, not accolades. They're Dacolades because they're everywhere. I'm getting bombarded on a daily basis with, here we go again with, wait a second, Dak Prescott has risen all the way to 3rd in the MVP odds? What? That Dak Prescott who went 8-8 and didn't make the Pro Bowl last year, he's all the way up to 3rd in Roto World as projected fantasy quarterback. He'd be the 3rd best. What? Seriously? And then we heard from Pro Football Focus and it was a next-gen stats, I guess we had yesterday, that Dak was the best deep ball thrower in the whole NFL last year. I missed that. I don't know. I didn't really get that. I thought he was good, but he wasn't the number one. I didn't think, but that's what the stats say. Well, once again, advantage Todd France. So my problem with all this is it's just making it worse and worse and worse. The stalemate is growing and growing. Dak's a very proud young man. I always laud his football backbone and his character. And now that character is being turned against Jerry Jones and my football team because I believe we're in for a long battle here and maybe a holdout that would pass July 15th, obviously, when you have to take the tag or not. And it might linger right on into the regular season. You would love it, but you know, if Dak does start missing real games to hold out, at least I got a fallback. I got the best fallback in the whole league. I got Andy Dalton, and I do not think it would be a 4-point deficit with Andy Dalton with these weapons. I think you'd start to see the weapons rise and shine and carry Andy Dalton along with the rising tide of weaponry.
You know what, Skip Bayless? You would do it. I mean, all last season, you sung Dak Prescott praise. Oh, he's good. He's a gamer. My guy's a warrior. And you're doing all this. And the moment it comes time, Skip, you know what? The moment it comes time that you got to make a stand, you're going to accept the first offer. No. Dak says, hold on, wait a minute. I've been the starter. There have been very few quarterbacks that say they've started every single game since 2016. I'm one of those guys.
Yep.
There are very few quarterbacks that say they've won the division as the starting quarterback. I've done that twice. So I've started every single game. I've won the division twice in 4 seasons. And everybody, you can look, it's factual. I've gotten considerably better every single year. See, Skip, we got to be able to separate, okay, the quarterback's play is getting better as opposed to the team's record. Because sometimes the team can get good and the quarterback does not improve. Sometimes the quarterback can improve and the team's record doesn't improve. That's why, to me, our 97 Super Bowl team was better than 98 to me because I believe we had more. But some people might argue that, Skip. What you do is that you try to tie Dak's play into their record. Well, he wasn't as good in 19 as he was 18. Yes, he was. He was better. Dak threw the ball better. They relied, even though they tried to rely on Zeke, Zeke didn't have the impact in 2019 that he had in 2018. So that is factual. So although the record is not indicative of how well Dak played, Dak has gotten better year after year after year. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say
Shannon,
he's Mahomes or he's Deshaun.
No.
I've said that, Skip. But he has gotten better, Skip. You know that. And that play should be rewarded handsomely.
I'm
Are you watching the same games I am?
My team and wreck my salary cap. Yes, I am. Did you watch the games down the stretch of 2018 after he got Amari? He was on fire. He was making plays with his arm and his legs that were extraordinary. He was the reason they beat Seattle in his lone playoff victory at Jerry World following the 2018 season. He played well enough out here at the Coliseum against the Rams to win that game, and the defense literally did not even show up that day. That Dak, I miss a little bit. I told you last year down the stretch I was giving him C grades, C+, C, C-. He wasn't great. I told you that. Well, I told you it wasn't what I expected it was. They went 8-8 and lost the division to a sorry 9-7 Beagles team. I'm sorry.
Whoa. See, Skip.
Yeah.
Go back to what you said. Go back to what you said. I told you the number one killer of a football team is what? Expectations. You just said he didn't play to the expectations of one, Skip. You see? Dumb expectations.
Okay.
Now, you're setting yourself up for failure again. You're doing that again, and I don't like it.
I got to make one last point. I am sick and tired of hearing people ridicule and condemn Jerry Jones. Why didn't you jump in a year and a half ago when you could have gotten Dak cheaper at that point. I believe Jerry did make an offer to Dak a year and a half ago. He has a new agent named Todd Francis who says, no, we ain't doing that. I still believe they're asking for outrageous out-of-bounds money, and they were asking for it a year and a half ago. This continues from where it started a year and a half ago. I'm sorry.
No mercy.
NFL.com has named Tom Brady as one of the players guaranteed to have a bounce-back year this season. Brady has thrown for fewer yards and touchdowns each of the previous 3 seasons, but is now paired with what Pro Football Focus ranked the league's best receiving group. Shannon, do you agree Brady will have a bounce-back year even at 43 years old?
I might need to look up bounce back because Skip Bayless has been telling me that Brady played great. So why would you need to bounce back? You know, having played sports and been around sports, I know you have a bad quarter. Don't worry about that. We'll bounce back in a second. But I wonder if somebody's going to say Lamar Jackson needs to have a bounce back season after 2019. Oh, so in other words, now our Gil Brandt, now I know Gil, Skip, you know Gil, you've been around Gil. Gil described Tom Brady's season as mediocre. I guess because, Skip, you know, I'm not in the Hall of Fame as a talent evaluator. You know, I didn't draft Bob Lilly and all these other guys and signed, you know, Michael Irvin. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. But I said that, and I've been saying that for the longest time. Now, Gil tag along, Tom Brady had a mediocre season. I think it was less than mediocre because Tom Brady was 19th at QBR. There's only 32 quarterbacks that could qualify, Skip. That's not good. He's 27th in yards per attempt and completion percentage. Is that very good, Skip? And the Skip Bayless stat that he loves so much, let me tell you what. Now, he loved this stat in 2018 and 2017. It's called throwaways. Tom Brady led the NFL in throwaways. Skip Bayless, look, woo, Aaron Rodgers just throwing it away because he wants to keep that interception percentage intact. Your guy led the NFL in throwaways, was 27th in completion percentage and yards per attempt, 19th in QBR. But Skip Bayless and others would tell you Tom Brady played great. You blamed it on the receivers. But here's what's going to happen, Skip. Now, Tom is in a new environment. And I'm not saying that he's going to be god-awful, but there will be games that he will struggle. Who are you going to blame it on? Now, you told me yesterday Chris Godwin is the best receiver in football. They got the best receiving core in football. With Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronk comes back, Cameron Brake, and O.J. Howard. I don't want to hear any excuses. There should be no excuses for Tom Brady not to throw for 5,050 touchdowns because you said he's exponentially better than Jameis Winston. Jameis threw for almost 5,233. So given by my calculation, Tom Brady should break Peyton Manning passing record, Peyton Manning touchdown record, and they should be 16-0. That's what should happen because Tom Brady is the GOAT, so says Skip Bayless. He's so much better than Jameis, and he will take care of the football. So I'm looking at about 57 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 15-1, and that should be comeback player of the year and unanimous MVP. Right?
Is that your prediction?
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying by your calculation. By your calculation. By your calculation, yes.
Okay, well, on this show, I just go along for the ride with the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe. It's always by your calculations that I react. And all I know is that the Hall of Famer has told me consistently for 4 years, Tom Brady is in decline. The Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe predicted in 2016, this will be Tom Brady's final year, 2017, final year, 2018, final year.
No, I did
That's
not.
what he told me.
No, I did not.
I have to react to that because you're in the Hall of Fame. I'm not even not in the Hall of Fame. I'm way down here in the flats in West Los Angeles in my tiny little humble abode, stuck up in my loft here, looking up at you in your palatial estate. And now back to the other Hall of Famer, Gil Brandt. I did cover Gil for many years in Dallas. I know him all too well. I know the good and I know the bad. Well, Gil Brandt has declared that Tom Brady was mediocre last year. So I have to react to that because the piece that he wrote is presuming that Tom was mediocre. So Shannon Sharpe told me that last year Tom Brady was so in decline, he lost arm strength and he lost his nerve, or at least some of his nerve, in the pocket. He wouldn't stand in against the rush. So isn't it then fair to presume that Tom Brady is now at least a candidate for bounce-back player of the year? Wouldn't you presume, by your analysis, by your standards, isn't he a candidate for bounce-back, right?
Come back, But you said he shouldn't even be in the running because he played great.
Okay, now back to my very humble 2 cents worth of opinion from a distance. I thought Tom Brady was terrific last year because I saw through what Bill Belichick was trying to do to Tom Brady. He was trying to literally run him out of town. He was getting sabotagey in surrounding Tom Brady with his worst supporting cast offensively in 20 years in New England. I dare you to prove me wrong on that. Show me how last year's supporting cast wasn't the all-time worst, because by Pro Football Focus standards, his receivers were dead last in separation. His tight ends as a unit, Gronkless unit, were dead last in productivity. And then I read on, let's just do Pro Football Focus. I read this on Brady last year. His passing suffered because of the lack of quality receivers in 2019. Brady's numbers were solid with nobody winning on a consistent basis. That was from Pro Football Focus. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Then we saw even yesterday from the Next Gen stats on NFL.com that Tom Brady was ranked the 4th best deep passer in football last year, 7 deep pass touchdowns, best of his career since 2006. And yet, Next Gen Stats had him for the 3rd worst pass protection last year. 4th best long distance passer, 3rd worst pass protection. And their conclusion was, so with more pressure in his face than most quarterbacks faced and a revolving cast of characters at receiver, Brady still posted the 4th best deep passing mark. Not bad for a 42-year-old, says Next Gen Stats. That's what I kept trying to tell you. Shannon, in the end, what were the results? Somehow, with that garbage around him, with Julian Edelman leading the league in drop passes and a broken-down shell of himself last year, and that was his go-to receiver, Tom Brady still lifted this team in position to win the 2 seed. In the final home game against the suddenly hot Dolphins, he drove his Patriots 60 yards in 8 plays for a touchdown with 3 minutes left that put them up 24-20 and in the catbird seat to be the number 2 seed in the AFC just behind Baltimore. And what happened? Belichick's defense spit the bit. They allowed Ryan Fitzpatrick to go, 75 yards in 13 plays for a game-winning, not field goal, but touchdown? That canceled what I thought was an extraordinary run late in the year by Tom Brady. So given the lack of help that he had, I thought he was really good last year, and I think he's going to be great in Tampa.
Can I ask you a question, Skip? Did Tom Brady make the Pro Bowl last year? Because in the previous segment, you told me Dak Prescott didn't make the Pro Bowl, so he didn't play well. So if Dak Prescott didn't make the Pro Bowl and he didn't play well, how does Tom Brady not make the Pro Bowl, but he played well?
Last year, Dak Prescott had twice as much help, twice as much as Tom Brady did. By the end of the year, Sony Michel, who I thought was really good in 2018, was lost in Belichick's doghouse. Sabotagey? I don't know. I don't get it. No Zeke, no offensive line like Dak had. There was no Amari at home. There was no Michael Gallup. There wasn't even a Jason Witten last year for Tom Brady in New England. He had nothing.
Just think about if Amari had showed up on the road like he did at home. Dak might have thrown for 5,500 yards, and you might have would have gotten the playoff. You see, Skip, what you try and do is that when Tom Brady plays bad, now, when Sonny Michel and they were leading the playoffs in rushing, you never mentioned that. All you mentioned with Brady was bing, bing, bing. Those 3 3rd and 10s. You didn't mention Sonny Michel. You didn't mention Rex Burkhead. All you talked about, hey, run that back. Let's hear what Joey Bosa had to say. I can't get there. He's getting the ball out so quick. You didn't mention anything about the run game. Now he struggles. Oh, his running game was terrible. Oh, Julian Edelman couldn't get up. Now, you the same guy that said Julian Edelman should be in the Hall of Fame. That was you the same guay. So now he can't play.
Before last year, I
in the
did.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Well, wait a second. Wait a second. Julian Edelman has the second best stats across the board in the postseason to Jerry Rice. Those are Hall of Fame numbers.
Then.
Not last year. They were not in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, they were in the playoffs last year. Oh, they were. But hold on, Skip. But in that 28-3, when they were down in the Super Bowl, they came back without Gronk. And you said, see, that's the mastery of Tom Brady. He doesn't need anybody. Now you say it because they had the Gronkless tight ends. Which is it? Does he need Gronk or does he not need Gronk? Is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl MVP or not? I need you to pick one side because you sideswiping everybody else that's close to you in the lane. You keep sideswiping me because you told me he didn't need Gronk. You told me that Julian Edelman, he dropped too many passes. Sonny Michel is in the doghouse. Coach Belichick sabotaging, and he's a tyrant.
Okay, against Atlanta, go back and look who made some of the biggest catches in that game. Danny Amendola. Look at the 2-point catch Amendola made. Look at the 3rd and, 15 that Chris Hogan converted early in that last-ditch drive that ended up sending the game to overtime. Go look at Chris Hogan, the play that he made. So he's got Amendola. He's got Chris Hogan. He's got receivers who are legit in the Atlanta Super Bowl beyond Gronk. Edelman was still Edelman at that point and made a terrific shoestring top of the, right off the grass catch that saved them in the one drive.
Now you like Chris Hogan. When Chris Hogan was there, you said Chris Hogan was nothing. Now you want Chris Hogan. Oh, my goodness, Skip. When you had Chris Hogan, you never gave him this kind of adulation. You never spoke about Danny Amendola. They made Danny Amendola.
I love Danny Amendola.
You told me.
He was big clutch for Tom Brady.
Every year, for the last 3 years he was there, they made him take a pay cut just to stay on the roster. That tells you what they thought of Danny Amendola. Now, all of a sudden, he didn't have those guys. And I kept telling everybody, and I've told you, Skip, just because they're not Julio Jones, just because they're not Mike Thomas, does not mean they're not good. And people look at other guys and say, well, he doesn't have that. But in that system, those guys were perfect. And you guys started to see that once he didn't have those guys. You just think if you're not a top 5 receiver, you're no good. But you have to understand the system in which New England operates. The Chris Hogans, the Danny Amendolas, the Julian Edelmans, they are perfect. Gronk would be great in any system. He's that guy. He's the X factor. But those other guys work perfectly in that system, and you saw that when those guys weren't there.
Shannon, do you think it was Tom Brady's choice to send Hogan packing and Amendola packing? Do you think it was his choice to cold shoulder them and say, nope, go ahead, take your free agent deal, go on? No, Brady loved both of them. He wanted both of them back. It was Belichick who kept saying, nah. It's sabotaging. After a while, look at what he had to work with last year. It was nothing. He had Antonio Brown for about a minute, and then that blew up, obviously. He had Josh Gordon for about 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden Belichick said, that's enough of that deal. I don't know what more do you need to know? You can't even name a tight end that he was throwing to last year. It was horrendous. Yeah. So, again, I disqualified Brady for comeback player because I thought he was pretty good last year. But I'll tell you what, I'll put him in the MVP discussion right here, right now. I say he'll be in the thick of it all year long now that he has some actual weapons and an actual football team around him. With that coaching staff and that defense, you better look out, because I think they're going to win the NFC, and I'm not going to be shocked if Tom Brady wins yet another MVP.
Skip, the problem is some of this is Tom Brady's fault because he took pay cuts. Coach Belichick obviously thinks everybody should take a pay cut, and that's what has happened. So Tom Brady got victimized. Yet it was a good, and they were able to put some pieces around him, but it also victimized him because now Coach Belichick's like, well, you see with that guy? He's what everybody called a GOAT, and we paying him chicken feed. So why would I pay you X? So you either take this, and Amendola's like, no, I'm not. Other guys like, no, I'm going elsewhere. I'm just not gonna let you keep paying me less, 3-4 times less than what market is. Okay, I'll be willing to take some less than market, considering I'm in a great situation. So Tom Brady did a lot of this on his own, Skip, because if he takes less, how can somebody else ask for more? When the guy that's won those MVPs in the Super Bowl, the quarterback, the most important player, is taking less. So some of this is his own fault.
So Shannon Sharpe, bottom line, if Tom Brady makes the Pro Bowl this year, will you declare him the comeback player of the year in the NFL?
I'll consider it. I got to look at the other candidates.
Okay.
You'll consider it. Okay. Hey, we're moving in the right direction, Skip. We're almost getting him on the Tom Brady train. We're going to move on from Tom to LeBron.
No mercy.
Doc Rivers was on Uninterrupted's Go Off podcast and called LeBron the best athlete in NBA history. Doc didn't stop there, and in reference to LeBron revealing how he trained to play in the NFL in 2011, he said LeBron could have been the greatest player ever had he stuck to football. So, Shannon, I'm really intrigued what you have to say about this. Do you agree?
No. Skip, people think because you're great at one sport, I mean, you're really great, you're historical great, and you're a great athlete, that you can transition and play any other sport and be just as equally as great. And that's not always the case. Now, we've seen rare occasions where you see a you see a Bo Jackson, or you see a Deion Sanders. Those are or Jim Thorpe. Skip, those are the rare. You're talking about, in 100-year history, you're talking about maybe 3-4 guys. Now, do I believe LeBron could have made it to the NFL? Yes, with his work ethic. If he's going to have the same type work ethic that he displays now in basketball, yes. But he's going to probably Skip, I believe he's too tall to play tight end. 6'9.5", that's too tall. I'm just going to say skill positions. Okay, he's going to have to either be a wide receiver, too tall to play tight end, or he's going to have to be a defensive lineman. He's going to be Ed Too Tall Jones. So for me, Skip, yes, I do believe LeBron could have, if he stuck with football, let basketball go, and says, okay, I'm going to have the same mindset. I'm going to give it everything I possibly can, devote all my time to playing football. Yes, I do believe he could have made it, but I believe it is a stretch to say he would have been the greatest football player of all time. Those are two different things, Skip. Making it to the NFL is one thing. Now, you're taking a huge leap. You're talking about a gargantuan step, saying the greatest of all time in a set sport. No, I do not believe LeBron would have been the great. And Skip, I don't think anybody will argue. I'm probably LeBron's biggest fan. But I do not believe LeBron James would have been the greatest football player. I do believe he could have played had he devoted the time and the effort and the energy like he does basketball to the NFL. But I do not believe he'd have been the greatest of all times. No, I do not believe that.
Quick point of order before I answer Jenny's question. You just referred to LeBron as 6'9.5". So during the quarantine, did he grow a half inch? Because I didn't know he was 6'9.5".
Okay, Skip, 6'9". I still believe he's still too tall to play tight end. So he's going to be a wide receiver, or he's going to be Ed Too Tall Jones.
I thought you were suggesting because now he's gotten so much rest, so much sleep during the quarantine with no basketball, obviously, that he actually grew a little bit at age, how old is he now?
No.
42, or I can't remember.
35.
In his 17th year.
Well, Skip, he might be Ted Hendricks. He might be the start. You know, Ted Hendricks was 6'8", so he might have been that.
Do I? Okay. Now, first First point about what Doc said. Remember, he was speaking on a podcast on Uninterrupted. I believe Uninterrupted is owned and sometimes even operated by one LeBron James. So it's like, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. But in this case, when in Rome, tell the Romans what they want to hear. So obviously he's preaching to LeBron's choir. So maybe Doc went a little over the top because he was laying it on thicker than molasses about a LeBron that, I don't know, the Clippers that he coaches may face LeBron's Lakers in whatever end-of-the-year playoff format tournament that we're going to have. So maybe he was trying to butter up LeBron so he could take him down, because I thought Doc went a little too far. So let's deal with the first premise. LeBron, he said, was the greatest, or is the greatest athlete in the history of the NBA. Well, and he said, Michael was a star. You know, Michael was great. Kobe was great. Kawhi is great. But this guy, he says, was on has been on a whole nother level. I do not believe, Shannon, that LeBron is a better athlete than Michael Jordan was, because Michael had a quickness about him, a quick spring, an acrobatic hang time talent that I don't think LeBron has ever had. LeBron's a little bit of a stiff athlete to me, even though he's obviously supremely gifted. I don't believe LeBron is quite the athlete that Kobe was. But I don't think Doc was talking about just athleticism. I think he was talking about the whole package, the specimen that is LeBron James. And Doc's point was, back in Jordan's day, there was this beast in the West named Karl Malone. And what was he, Shannon? 6'9", 2...
He was 6'9", yeah.
I don't know what he was, 250, 260.
He got to be 260, yeah, 250, 260, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, Doc's point is LeBron is taller and maybe 10 pounds heavier than the beast who was the mailman. And I agree.
Right.
And I've never seen anything like the total package that is LeBron James, because we're talking about a huge human with incredible hand-eye. He doesn't have a great handle, but he's the best passer in basketball. And as I've always said, he's the greatest attacker of the basket we've ever seen. Now, my problem with LeBron has been he's like a benign bully in that he doesn't have cold-blooded killer in him, but when he realizes the advantage that he has over most defenders, if he'll just take advantage, which he sometimes does, he can bully anybody, because there are very few, in fact, there's really nobody in this league today who can keep him from the basket. So the point is that I get where Doc is going there, and yet I'm also going to give Doc this one. I told you the other day when we first dealt with LeBron talking about 2011. During that lockout, going into the next season after his first finals with the Miami Heat, he was talking about actually playing football and trying out for the Cowboys. And he said, I started running 40-yard dashes to time. And I speculated to you, could he have run 4.5? Yeah, I think he could run a 4.5 40 at 260-odd pounds. And then he said he was actually hitting the blocking sled and doing football-type drills. Okay, well, if he had concentrated from age, I don't know, like let's start at age 14. If he had focused solely on football at age 14 on, man, listen, I told you, I think he could have been a Pro Bowl receiver. And I don't even know how you quantify what he would have been. You say he's too tall to be a tight end. I don't know. He'd just be some hybrid. You could play him in the slot. You could split him out. I don't know. You could do a lot of things with him, because it would be rare. I don't know who could guard him, especially in the red zone. I don't know who could out-jump ball 6'9" LeBron, because obviously he can catch, and he's physical. And if he'd gotten in the weight room for football, I don't know, maybe he could have played at 280 for all I know. So I give Doc those points. He couldn't have been the GOAT, but I think he could have been a Pro Bowl receiver.
With Skip, he might need to be careful because with that frame, he's already, so let's just say like LeBron at one point in time was 260. With that frame, he's lifting weight, he's going to be Jonathan Ogden. He's going to be over 300 pounds, he's going to be an offensive lineman.
Okay.
Because with that height, Skip, you see how, you look at basketball players, Skip, as they start to get old, and you see the weight that they carry. So imagine a young LeBron that's lifting weights, that's eating properly. So I'm applying this, Skip, that he's going to do just like he's doing in basketball. Have a trainer, he's going to eat properly, he's going to be just as judicious in his eating and nutrition and his training as he is in basketball, as he is in football. So he's going to have to be careful with that frame. He can put on weight. So he might end up being an offensive lineman, Skip, if he's not careful. So let's just say he's going to monitor what he eats. He's a wide receiver or a defensive end at the worst case. But I do believe he could have made it. But, Skip, I think that's a real big stretch, even on Uninterrupted, for Doc to say he'd have been the greatest football player, because we've had some great guys in this league.
Okay, I get you there, but I still say that LeBron has the physique and the durability. Remember, I always say he's the most durable superstar I've ever seen. I realize, obviously, pro basketball is not pro football. But Shannon, he did have the groin issue last year with the Lakers. But in general, I'm going to knock on wood because I hate to even bring these things up. But in general, LeBron's had no surgeries. He's had no knees, no shoulders, no Achilles. I'm knocking on wood. I don't even like to talk about this because it's just, you dare the injury gods. But the point is, he's elastic enough that he falls a lot. Obviously, he gets knocked down a lot when he drives the basketball. And yet, he's had no major injuries, and he's in year 17. So if I project that into football, could he have stayed relatively healthy? Yeah, I think he could have, especially if he just played receiver. Now, I don't know about mentality to play defense. I don't know if he could have rushed the passer. I don't know. Like I've always said, he's a lover, not a fighter, so I don't know. There were days in this league where, and you probably played with some players who were not real tough guys. Like back in the day, pass rushers when you couldn't hold like you can today. If you go back to Harvey Martin or my friend Pat Toomey, who also made a Pro Bowl. Harvey Martin was the co-MVP of a Super Bowl. They weren't tough guys. They were smart guys. They were high IQ guys, but they weren't cold-blooded killers, yet they could really rush the passer. So could LeBron have been one of those guys? Maybe.
Well, Skip, maybe he's Von Miller and not LT. Because, you get the same guys. You get guys that go get after the quarterback, but LT is a different animal. You've been around LT. You covered LT. I've been around. I was in the era with LT and been around him. He had a different mindset. But, you can accomplish the same goal. But, Skip, for me, look, Danny Ainge was a super athlete, Skip. He got drafted by the Blue Jays. Now, he wasn't a basketball player.
He was starting second baseman.
Yeah. So there have been some very talented guys in the NBA. Tony Gwynn got drafted. Tony Gwynn, had an opportunity to play basketball for the Clippers. So, Skip, there have been some talented guys, but we've never seen a guy that can combine what LeBron. Because let me ask you a question. Who you think would win a foot race if we said in their prime, Kobe, LeBron, or MJ? Who would win a 40?
I really think Michael would have.
You think Michael would win? I think
Michael, he's because he was 6'6", 215, and I swear he could run 4.4. I'm pretty sure.
Kobe might get him. Kobe, I don't know. Skip, here's the thing, and what people like, well, his 40 time was that 40 time. There have been a lot of guys that have a faster 40 time than Deion Sanders, but I'm not taking any football player over Deion Sanders if you says, okay, you line up on the line and let's go race. I'm not taking anybody. Now, maybe I take Skip Bob Hayes, somebody like that, but I'm saying a football player, no. There's a difference between, racing speed. I got to beat you as opposed to just timing for the 40, Skip. And you've been around guys that can just test and then guys that can just run.
No mercy.
welcome back to Undisputed. Before we get into our next debate, friend of the show, Lil Wayne, well, he has a new radio show. And hey, tonight's guest, Skip at 7:20 Eastern. So fun, Skip. You're going to be doing that. How excited are you to join Wayne tonight?
Extremely, but I remind everyone, Wayne rivals my man Shannon Sharpe as a Cowboy hater. So I'm prepared to get grilled by Wayne about, as he calls them, the cowgirls.
Everybody
Looking
knows.
forward to listening to that. That's awesome. Tell Wayne hey from Shannon and I, and please, Skip, give him a hard time about the Packers for me as well. That would be great. All right, moving out. Time now for our trending story of the day, sponsored by Kia's Tough and Ready lineup of all-wheel drive SUVs. Give it everything. So, despite there not being any reported movement with negotiations for a long-term deal between Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio says Dak has more negotiation leverage than, quote, any quarterback in league history. Florio said the leverage has grown ever since the Cowboys failed to extend Dak the moment he was eligible. Shannon, do you agree?
Well, Skip, it's hard to say that he's had more leverage than any quarterback in the history of the game, but he's in a very good spot, Skip. I mean, you look at, it's hard to say he's had more leverage than Peyton Manning, and we know what Peyton Manning represents. I don't believe he's had more leverage than Aaron Rodgers in his first contract negotiation, Skip, but he does have leverage by outperforming his contract, not signing an extension, and then playing so extremely well in the final year of that rookie contract. So, Skip, for me, the reason why I believe Dak still does have leverage, because he is not negotiating in public. The Cowboys are. The Cowboys are constantly leaking information about what they're offering and what they're willing to do for Dak Prescott, while Dak and Todd France has played their hand very close to the best. The Cowboys are the one that's trying to paint Dak as being selfish and greedy and not team-friendly because he won't give them a hometown discount. Why would you do that if he had no leverage? Now, I do believe some of his leverage got dissipated when they signed Andy Dalton. Skip, I still believe he has some leverage. It's not as strong as it was in the beginning, pre-Andy Dalton. But of course he has leverage. The most leverage of any quarterback in the history of the game? No. Or since free agency came into effect in '93? No, I don't believe that. But I still believe Dak does have some leverage.
Okay. So what is starting to eat me alive, drive me out of my mind, make me constantly sicker and sicker at my stomach is this Mike Florio premise in this piece that, and I'm going to quote Mike Florio here, by not swooping in and making Prescott an offer he couldn't refuse the moment he became eligible for a new deal, a second contract, in early 2019, then I'm going to paraphrase the rest of it, that allowed Dak's leverage to grow and grow and grow until he has the most leverage, according to Mike Florio, of any quarterback in NFL history. Faulty premise to me, Shannon, because to your point, yes, I believe that Jerry and Stephen Jones have leaked the truth. I believe there is an offer on the table to Dak that would immediately make him the highest paid quarterback and player in the National Football League, beyond what Russell Wilson is making right here, right now. It's 36-ish million. It's 110-ish million guaranteed. And I believe that offer has been on the table for quite some time. And you're right. They, quote unquote, leaked that. But they didn't leak lies. They leaked the truth. We haven't heard a peep from the other side. We had Chris Sims saying that he was being told that they were asking for north of $45 million in a fifth year that they want. They adamantly yesterday denied that and knocked that down. So I'm left with, I don't know exactly what they have demanded from the start. But I'm here to tell you that knowing Jerry the way I know him, he did swoop in a year and a half ago, and he did make an offer that he thought Dak would not refuse. A very good offer that would have made Dak the highest paid quarterback and player at that point a year and a half ago. But I believe, and I'm steadfast, and I'm sticking by my guns on this, Shannon, I believe that Dak and an agent you know, Todd France, his new agent, are asking for outlandish, outrageous, out-of-bounds money, and I believe they were asking for it from the start a year and a half ago. And Jerry was blindsided by the demands that did not dissipate. There has been no melting of resolve on their side. I believe that they're just as dug in now as they were a year and a half ago. We want this. I believe they are asking for salaries up in the 40s. I don't know exactly what they are, 4 years versus 5, but I think they're out of bounds in Jerry's mind, which is why they have attempted to place the franchise tag on him. That's $31.4 million. If it went to next year, it would go up to about $37 million. So the average of 31.4 and 37-ish, it would fall right along where they've offered him in the first 2 years that's on the table right now. So that wouldn't bother Jerry. But Shannon, all we need to know is what you have told me from the start, and I've told you in my history covering this sport, there's nothing good that ever comes from franchise tags. They hurt both sides. It's a public indication that Jerry Jones is not sold. He's saying, I got to hedge my bet here. I'll give you one more year at $31 million, and we'll kind of see what happens. And if you're great and we win the Super Bowl, then maybe I'll give you $40-odd million a year. But he's not quite sold. So he's saying, hey, we got to resort to the tag. The tag is no good. It's a dead-end street for both. We saw what happened to Kirk Cousins. The Redskins never bought into Kirk Cousins, and they paid him a ton of money, and they got nothing to show for it, and he still hit the free agent market and made a killing in Minnesota. And maybe he'll turn out. I still don't love him. He played better than I thought last year. I still think Minnesota, sorry, Jenny, will end up being frustrated and disappointed in the end with Kirk Cousins. That's just me, but I hate the tag and I hate where this negotiation is heading.
Skip, the thing was that when Mike Florio was talking about making him an offer he couldn't refuse, Skip, you have to understand now, if you do this at the beginning of 2019, Dak is going into his last year. When they signed Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, they had fifth-year options still on the table. So you really got to blow Dak away because he's saying they're doing this and they still got another year. You're extending me, but I don't have another year for you to add on. So you're really going to have to blow me away, Skip. You got, okay, Jared Goff got $110 million. Skip, he had that fifth-year option still in play. So Dak says you're going to have to leapfrog that in order for me to even consider this. And that's what Mike Florio is talking about, Skip. You got to blow me away. You're not blowing me away, says I'll give you something around Jared Goff. But Jared Goff still has another year left. Even if they don't do anything in year 4 at the beginning of year 4, they still get, just like Amari. Skip, remember, Amari says, I'm cool. I ain't got to do anything. I still got $14.5 million in my fifth-year option. Well, Dak says, there is no option on me. If you want me to sign this deal, blow me away. Make me an offer I can't refuse. Skip, they say the home that Oprah got in Montecito, the home wasn't for sale. She liked the home. The people, and Oprah's like, I would really like to buy this house. There's like, it's not for sale. Or Oprah slid him a check. We'll be out here first thing tomorrow morning. Skip, that's what Jerry Jones was going to have to do to Dak. You want him to do a deal, you're going to have to make him an offer he can't refuse. And what Dak is in his, Todd Francis saying, oh, we can refuse this because we got no fifth year. Because Wentz and Goff had a fifth year. We have none. So give us 10%, give us 15% over the guaranteed money that you gave Jared Goff, and we'll think about it. But right now, y'all bull-jobbing, Jerry, and then you put the franchise tag. Basically, you saying we still dating. You ain't even trying to make no commitment. You ain't trying to put no ring on it. We still dating. You ain't even really gave me a key. As a matter of fact, you ain't even really acknowledged me in public. You had to acknowledge me. You say you got a girl, you got a thing, but well, nobody really know because you ain't made it publicly yet. Put it on there, Jenny. You know what I'm talking about, Jenny Tab. You know what I'm talking about. That's how you held Matt to the feet, to the fire. Give me that ring. 10 carats, or I'll walk it. Matt said, okay, Jenny.
And Shannon, now Jerry Jones has the option to two-time Dak because he signed Andy Dalton for next to nothing. He's got a 1A. He's got a starter of a backup quarterback. And I believe this has reinforced Jerry's resolve to hold that bottom line against Todd France. Again, if they're asking for as much as I think they are, I think Jerry's saying that won't work. You're going to wreck our salary cap over the next 4 or 5 years, and we will not be able to surround you with the requisite talent to go win multiple Super Bowls. We're going to start losing too many players because we're overpaying a quarterback that I believe they view just like I do, that he's very good, but he's not quite Patrick Mahomes or Lamar or Deshaun. He's not quite there. Maybe he'll get there, but Jerry's saying, I got to hedge my bets right now because I can't pay him more than Mahomes will even ask for. That's out of bounds. And I'm so disappointed because I thought Dak was enough of a team leader, team player that he would be grateful for the position that he fell into as the quarterback of America's team, fell into it out of the 4th round of the draft. And he has been, given where he came from, he has been great. He is the face of the franchise. He's the heartbeat of the franchise. But in the end, I hoped that his character would shine through and he'd say, you know what? $36 million, 110-ish guaranteed with a dozen national TV deals that I already have that I'm benefiting from. I benefited from the last 2 years because I'm the quarterback of America's team. That's good enough for me. Now, let's go win Super Bowls. That's what I thought I would get from Dak. I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing I'm in it for me, not we, me.
Yeah.
And it hurts me.
Yeah.
Now I'm losing my resolve to defend Dak. Yeah, well, I am.
No, Skip, don't do that because here's the thing, is that he's looking at it like Jared Goff got $30 million, his first contract, guaranteed. Wentz got about 28. Dak says, I made $4 million. So there's a $26 million makeup that I need to get. Skip, there have been a lot of guys that fall into ideal situations, but if they can't play, they move on. Dak fell into a situation, he outperformed the contract. He wants compensation that's just, that's fair. And just because he's the America's team quarterback, that doesn't mean anything they throw at him, he should be grateful for. No, he's saying, you made me wait, now you're going to compensate me handsomely for me waiting and having to play this contract out because I took an extreme risk of getting injured in year 4 without that guaranteed money. You see, those other guys had guarantees in that option. Dak Prescott had no guarantees in year 4. So now he wants to recoup what he could have potentially lost.
Everybody applauded Dak Prescott. He bet on himself last year. Way to go, Dak.
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
And he lost. He quarterbacked a team that went 8-8. You are what your record says you are. That's what Bill Parcells always said. He went 1-6 against teams that made the playoffs in 2019. He did not make the Pro Bowl. Shannon, it's not good enough. You lost some leverage. You can't then ask for beyond Mahomes money and try to hold out for it.
Okay, well, what about in 2018 when he made the Pro Bowl and he won the division and you didn't give him his money? What were you saying then?
Maybe they offered.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe they offered. Now, baby.
No mercy.
Patrick Mahomes tweeted grinning emojis in response to a tweet about a potential rule change that would allow teams a 4th and 15 attempt from their 25 in lieu of an onside kick. Mahomes has converted many long downs, including the famous Super Bowl 3rd and 15 play. Shannon, what do you think? You happy about it? Do you like this idea?
Skip, I really don't like it because I think this is going to lead, what's going to end up happening, Skip, this is going to end up leading to getting rid of kickoffs, and people are going to lose their jobs. Shannon Sharpe made the NFL by playing special teams, playing kickoff and kickoff return. And, Skip, the thing is that the onside kick, it should be hard, Skip. You're trying to steal a possession. So it should be hard. It shouldn't be a 50-50 chance that you can get it. No. And for me, Skip, and for some quarterbacks and teams, it's easier picking up 4th and 15 than getting the onside kick. Since they changed the rules, well, Skip, before, you could get a running start on the onside kick. Now you just have to stand there. The guy kicks the ball. Skip, that went from the old rules in 2017. You got a 21% chance of recovering it. The last 2 years since the new rules have been instituted, you got a 10% chance. Skip, over the last 5 years, 4th and 15 has been converted 24% of the time. Let that sink in. So now, Skip, you got guys like teams like a Lamar Jackson, because so many things can go wrong, Skip. I can get offensive holding. I can get defensive holding, pass interference. I can get you to jump off sides. Now it's 4th and 10. I can get you to hit the quarterback in the head. Now guess what, Skip? I got a first down. So there's so many different ways that I can convert this as opposed to just recovering the ball on the onside kick. So, Skip, I really don't like it. It seems gimmicky, and I get what the NFL is trying to do. It's trying to, they said these collisions, you get a lot of collisions, Skip, on the kickoff and things of that nature because guys are generating such force. And I get it. You're trying to make the game safer. Hard for me to believe that when you added a game, but that's neither here nor there, Skip. But for me, nah, Skip. I'm not in love with it, but I do get the reason for the change. But you're going to have some teams, Skip, that's going to be getting the extra couple of possessions a game that they don't deserve to have.
Okay. I hear what you just said, and I appreciate the point you just made about trying to preserve lower-level special teams jobs in those salaries.
Right.
But the fans who fund this game, hopefully they'll be, back in the stands sooner than later. The ones who watch these games like crazy on TV, Shannon, you know and I know, they're not worried about lower-level salaries that special teamers make. They're worried about excitement at the end of the game. Yeah, they want wildly exciting. And because of safety rules, which I also completely respect and appreciate, they took the excitement out of the onside. I was surprised that it was 10% recovered over the last 2 years. It felt like it was 1%. It felt uncoverable to me with the new rules, to the point that it just became a moot point at the end of most games. Well, that's it. They're not going to be able to recover the onside.
Right.
And as gimmicky as 4th and 15 from the 25 would be, at least it would give the trailing team a ray of hope. As you said, 25% hope. At least it would keep me on the edge of my seat. I don't like gimmicks, but I've told you from the start, it's gimmicky to me that you let a little guy who played soccer trot onto the field and try to kick the ball up between the uprights, 2 uprights. That's as gimmicky as you get for 3 points to win the game or lose the game if you miss. So 4th and 15 from the 25 works for me because it would really up the anticipation for me. I would be crazed to see if teams could pull off 4th and 15. So I'm more with it than you are. Now, allow me to segue into what Jenny mentioned, a tweet from your man, my homeboy, in which he was kiki king about this. He was basically rubbing his hands together. He was licking his chops about, let me at 4th and 15 from the 25. Time out, Patrick. There's this guy who now resides in Tampa, Florida. He's the one who should be in the new catbird seat on 4th and 15 from the 25. He's the one who should have posted on social yesterday, I can't wait for this. He's the GOAT. His name is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., and he is the clutchest quarterback in NFL history, and he remains to this day the clutchest quarterback in the NFL. All he does is have 4th and 15s for afternoon snacks, Shannon Sharpe. That's the guy who would benefit the most, because we saw what Tom Brady did in an AFC championship game in the cold in Mahomes' house just a couple of years ago. We saw him in overtime convert 3 straight 3rd and 10s, 3 in a row. That's way harder than 1 4th and 15. Wow. He went to Edelman for 20.
Don't do that, Skip.
He went to Edelman for 15. He went to Gronk for 15. I think all those would have converted a 4th and 15. This is Mr. Clutch, Tom Brady. So, Patrick, maybe you should wake up and smell the roses that are growing now down in Tampa, Florida.
No, Skip. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, I were to concede that Tom Brady was the GOAT. Is Tom Brady currently the best quarterback, the best player in the NFL? No. It's like when Jordan had accomplished everything he accomplished, but when he came back to the Wizards, he was not the best player in the NBA, Skip. 2 things can be true. One player can be great, historically great, and no longer be the best at said time. That is what is happening here. Tom Brady is great. We cannot argue that. We cannot take that from him. But Tom Brady is not the best quarterback in football currently, Skip. You know that. So with that being said, yes, my man, my homeboy, like, yeah, y'all saw what I did in the Super Bowl. Now, it doesn't get any more intense than that. It doesn't get any more high pressure than that. And I did that with flying colors.
Flying colors? It was like flying red alert, because every time I looked up in the Super Bowl late in the 3rd quarter, Mahomes threw an interception. Early in the 4th quarter, he threw another interception. Then we get to, 3rd and 15 from his 35 with 7:13 left in the game. What did Mahomes get away with doing? Are you calling that clutch? He's got a rusher right in his face. He twists sideways and throws an Eli in the Super Bowl against Brady, the first Eli Super Bowl, a pass and a prayer. He basically put one hand over his eyes and flung it as far and high as he could. And Tyreek Hill, go look at the tape. Tyreek has to retreat for it. He had to come back on the dead run, wave for a fair catch, and catch it back going backwards. That ball was up for grabs, and it turned out being the 44-yard completion that changed the whole Super Bowl. But none of that would have happened if not for Jimmy G on the other side. Well, in the 4th quarter, Jimmy Garoppolo went 3 for 11 with an interception for a grand total of 36 yards. If there's no Jimmy G in that game, if he's up against Tom Brady the way he was in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago, he's going to lose because he made too many mistakes. And even though he got away with one very lucky completion to save the game, it wouldn't have mattered because the other quarterback would have closed a deal that should have been closed. I'm sorry, that was not clutch to me. I'll give you the one clutch throw that he made was a 4th and 9 pass, remember, against Lamar Jackson when Lamar was a rookie at Kansas City late in the 2018 season. Mahomes rolled, scrambled out, and I don't know if he's looking or not, but he threw it back across his body to Tyreek on a crossing route, and he got loose and went for 48 yards, right? Went for 48, and they were able to tie the game, get to overtime, and beat the rookie Lamar in that game. Lamar played great in that game. But the point, I'll give you clutch on that one, but where else? I mean, Brady does this, like, routinely. It's like, I don't have enough show left. I could take the whole rest of the show telling you about clutch throws Brady's made under pressure.
Why didn't he do it against Tennessee? Well, okay. His last game, he had a chance to do it against Tennessee. Why didn't he do it against Tennessee? He had an opportunity. Now, we saw Pat Mahomes in his last game come up clutch, down 10, bring him back, win the game. Brady, had his last game, he had an opportunity to do what you said he had done so many times before. Why didn't he?
They shouldn't have been playing Tennessee. He did his part with another late 4th quarter, come from behind drive yet again to beat the Dolphins, and it was a done deal with 3 minutes to go, and Belichick's defense couldn't stop Ryan Fitzpatrick from driving 80 yards in 13 plays to win the game. Brady did what should have been done for the 2 seed. They should have had a week off, which they did not have, and they would not have had to deal with Tennessee. I'm sorry. That was greatness on Brady's part, and yet another late clutch drive. That's what he does.
Well, you know what I would like, Skip Bayless? If it's inside of 2 minutes and you want to attempt the onside, we'll give you a chance at a Hail Mary. You got to complete a 50-yard Hail Mary. How about that? Because 4th and 15, Skip, is too easy. Skip, you trying to steal a possession. It shouldn't be 50-50. It shouldn't be like a 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 conversion. And that's what some of these teams are going to turn it into. Hail Mary, 50 yards.
Well, I'd watch 4th and 15.
No mercy.
Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson thinks the Eagles are currently the most underhyped team in the NFL. LT said that last year Philly still managed to win their last 4 games of the season to make the playoffs, all while injuries depleted their roster. Shannon, do you agree with LT here?
I do, and I've been trying to tell Skip that. That's why we got these 5 cases on it. He keeps talking about the Cowboys. His team is primed to launch. Ain't launching nowhere. You're not going anywhere. Failure to launch. I love what the Eagles have done. They get D-Jack. D-Jack's going to come back healthy. They get Alshon. Now, Alshon is going to be a little later. It might not be to the beginning of the season, or it might be 2, 3, 4 games into the season before he comes back. But they made the trade for Marquise Goodwin. They signed Jalen Reagor. So now, Skip, they got speed, something they really needed on the outside. Zach Ertz, we know what he represents, one of the 3 or 4 best tight ends in all of football. I got him right behind Kelsey and Kittle as far as the tight end ranking. So offensive line, they drafted a guy in the first round, I think, last year, Skip, maybe 2 years ago. He's going to replace Jason Peters. Now, they're still in talks with Jason Peters. He wants to finish his career in Philly. So you see how that plays out. Lane Johnson comes back. Kelsey's one of the best centers in football. So I like what they've done, Skip. And they made the trade for Darius Slay. So teams are not going to just be able to pitch and catch up and down the field, because old big play Slay will put a stop to that. And remember what he did to Amari, Skip. You remember what he did to Amari in Detroit, right, Skip Bayless? Had him locked up, wouldn't let him out. Mm-hmm. So you'll see that twice a year now. So I like what the Eagles have done. Everybody keeps talking about all these other teams, and rightfully so. San Francisco, they're loaded. Russell Wilson is improvisational whiz. They will be better. But it flying under the radar, like that old stealth bomber, Skip. You know, we fly so low, radar can't pick us up. We low to the ground. We just hovering. And before you know it, how do they sneak in here and win the division again? Because we sneaky like that.
Well, you can just sneak right on down to second place in the NFC East next year. I'll give you second place. I'll give you big play Slay. No. That was a great move. It was an expensive move. It cost a lot to trade for him. It cost a lot to pay him. That's okay. It cost you Malcolm Jenkins, who was the quarterback and leader of your defense. He's now obviously a New Orleans Saint. Look, I love LaDainian Tomlinson. I love it when we have him on the show. He concluded his breakdown of the Eagles as, so Philadelphia is going to be scary. Wrong. The scariest team in the East is now the new beast. It's now the Dallas Cowboys. Shannon, I'm sorry, but even Bill Barnwell, the ESPN NFL expert and analyst, broke down every team's offseason and ranked them over the last few days on ESPN.com. And his conclusion was that Philadelphia had the 17th best offseason, while Dallas had the 5th best offseason. A lot of people, many of the draft experts, thought Dallas had the first best draft, the best draft. I told you that they took 6 straight players, all who fell to them, all who should have gone much higher. And my team took CeeDee Lamb at 17, and then a couple of picks later, your Eagles took Jalen Reagor? I about fell out of my chair a second time over that for the wrong reason. Jalen Reagor went way higher than any draft expert had mocked him. I'm mocking that pick right now because I thought it was a silly pick because there were 4 or 5 other receivers I would have taken over Jalen Reagor. God bless you. Hope it works out. But LaDainian is he's just marveling that they got Marquise Goodwin. Marquise Goodwin from the 49ers. He caught 12 balls and 1 touchdown pass for the 49ers last year. And in the end, Shannon, but they got all these guys who were hurt coming back. Well, the Cowboys, according to Pro Football Focus, now have the 3rd best receiving core in all of football. I'll take that. Ezekiel Elliott underachieved last year. I think he's a candidate for bounce back player of the year, like we talked about Tom Brady being. And help me out. Does Philly, I know they have Miles Sanders. We had him on the show, love him. But is he Zeke?
Yep.
No, he's not Zeke. And again, Dak is better than Carson Wentz. I've said it from the start. He will back that up if he, in fact, signs his deal or plays under the franchise tag. I hope he gets resolved.
Better. We're paying better.
I'm going to. Okay. But you've got a quarterback quandary and controversy brewing in Philadelphia. In the 2nd round, they took my guy Jalen Hurts because they don't believe in Carson Wentz. We talked about how Jerry doesn't really buy into Dak because he's now tagged him. Well, help me out.
Right.
If you take a quarterback in the 2nd round, it's because you're not sold on your quarterback. You don't believe in him as the leader and playmaker of your franchise, and you don't trust that he's going to stay healthy because right on schedule, right on cue, when the Eagles finally eked into the back door of the playoffs, thanks to Dallas, and they won the division at 9-7, they got a home playoff game against Seattle. And what happened to your man Wentz, W-I-N-C-E, as in ouch? He got hurt right away. He was gone quickly. He completed 1 of 4 passes for a grand total of 3 yards. That's all you got. And LT was, again, LaDainian was lauding the great finish last year for Carson Wentz. He scored 28 points a game. And everybody's talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Well, the reason they are is because Carson Wentz wasn't really all that impressive. They beat the 3-13 Redskins. They beat the 4-12 Giants twice in the last 4 games. And they beat my sorry Cowboys. Dak got his shoulder banged up. He couldn't practice that week.
Oh, not that.
And he was not very good in that game. He missed Tavon on a wide-open throw that could have helped tie the football game. So 3-13, 2 4-12s, 1 8-8. It wasn't a great finish to the year for Carson Wentz, and that's what Doug Peterson and the whole management, all the way to the owner, that's what they're saying to you. We took Jalen Hurts for a reason. They're going to play Jalen Hurts a lot, the way Lamar Jackson played as a rookie, getting maybe 10 snaps a game on the way to maybe beating out Carson Wentz. So in the end, my defense wasn't very good last year. Well, look at Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe and Clinton Dix. And the Wolf Hunter says he's 1,000% ready to come back from his neck injury. And Trevon Diggs and Reggie Robinson are ball hawks that they drafted who can also interchange at safety. All of a sudden, they've got Aldon Smith, who I think is going to be a fairy tale comeback story. Randy Gregory could be also. And that Bradley Anae that they drafted in the 5th round out of Utah, he plays with edge and he can rush off the edge. So all of a sudden, my defense is going to be significantly better than it was last year. Too much firepower on offense, too much of an upgrade on defense, a much better kicker in Greg Zuerlein, a top 5 kicker, as opposed to Brett the Fret, who probably cost us a couple of games last year. And finally, no more Jason Garrett. We've got a made man. Mike McCarthy did win a Super Bowl once upon a time in Green Bay, and he did in his career coach Montana and Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and now I hope he gets to coach Dak Prescott and take him up a level. I love my team and my chances.
Well, I just hopefully, but I heard they got a lot of massage therapists in the Dallas area, so, you know, Mike McCarthy loved to get his massages on Saturday when they got walked through. But Skip, you do know, like, the Cowboys and the Eagles play the exact same opponents. So while you're bashing on the Giants in Washington, you do realize the Cowboys beat those teams too, right? So you just played them at a different time of year. So you're criticizing the Eagles for playing them late. But you was hyping. Remember, you guys played those guys early when you had jumped out to that great record. And you was pounding your chest like King Kong, like, look at us. Yeah, the Eagles ain't got nothing on us. And look what happened. You got dealt with. Walk it to them, beat you guys. So can you imagine if Wentz had Gallup and Amari and down the stretch and his starting offense, his offensive line that was intact? Woo, ain't no telling what he would have done. No telling.
Shannon, he's really moonwalk it to him because he moonwalked all the way out of the top 100, according to one of those websites who ranked it the other day. Well, and my point to you was go ahead.
But you say he moonwalked out of the top 100. Now Dak is 46. So shouldn't he be compensated in front of Deshaun Watson, in front of Matt Ryan? So that's $40 million right there. That's $40 million. I'm glad you brought that back up. 46th?
He's ranked 46th?
Yeah.
Okay, now look at the close. The Eagles got to play the Redskins and the Giants twice and the Cowboys in the last 4 games. What do you always tell me, the Hall of Famer that you are? It's all about expectations. There were none on the Eagles because they were down to their third-string receivers. Carson Wentz got to go in with no pressure because there was no expectation, and he played spirited football. He was game. He was a baller. He was a fighter. They were an overachieving football team down the stretch because nobody expected them to do anything. And suddenly, with the expectation to win the division next year, I don't love Carson Wentz's chances with Jalen Hurts looking over his shoulder pads.
I love it. I love it. I had expectations. Skip, that's why I won the 5 cases from you, because I told you what was going to happen. We're going to win out. You guys are going to lose 3 of your last 4, and we're going to win the division. You said, no way, you don't trust walk it to, bounce it to him. Limp it to him. W-I-N-C-E-O Wentz. Moonwalking. And my guy, all he did was just keep on gliding to the NFC East title.
No mercy.
To nobody's surprise, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson topped the list for CBS Sports' top 25 players under the age of 25. What was surprising was that Kyler Murray was all the way down at 19 on the list. Shannon, how much higher should Kyler Murray be ranked here? 19?
Well, Skip, I'm definitely not putting him in front of Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson. I don't think you're going to argue with me on that. I wouldn't put him in front of Quentin Nelson, Joey Bosa, McCaffrey, or Saquon, but he's top 10. I'm putting him in front of Myles Garrett, Darius Leonard, Chris Godwin, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he's going in front of those guys. If what the projections are, rookie of the year, quarterback, added D-Hop, they should be better. And I just don't this makes no sense to me. It's hard for me to believe that there are 18 guys 25 and under that's better than Kyler Murray, considering the season that he had. And I said this, Skip, he played better than I thought he did. He handled the pressure. He handled the expectations better than I thought he would. He was able to avoid the big hits. He did a great job of getting in and out of bad situations. But for him to be 19th, saying he's the 19th best player that's 25 years of age or under, I'm going to disagree with that one, Skip. I'm always going to lean towards guys that can score points. Now, Quentin Nelson, the reason why I put Quentin Nelson in front of him, Skip, I believe Quentin Nelson is the best guard in football. And that's, Brooks, I know what Brooks represents in Philly. I know Martin in Dallas. But Quentin Nelson right now, the Notre Dame kid that plays in Indy, I got him better. McCaffrey, Skip, he might just be the best all-around back in football. He was only the 3rd player to go for 1,000, rush for 1,000, receive for 1,000, 100 catches. So, for me, Skip, Saquon, ain't very many backs. I think Saquon might be the best back in football, all things being equal. But Kyler Murray should be higher than 19. Top 10, he should not get out of the top 10. There's no question about that for me.
Shannon Sharpe. As you can see, behind me on the wall are a whole bunch of hats. If Kyler Murray is only the 19th best player under 25 years of age in the National Football League, I will eat every hat on the wall behind me. I'll eat all of them. I'll swallow them all. This is the most outrageous projection and ranking I've seen in years. And some of the things that just came out of your mouth are equally offensive. Kyler Murray is the 4th best player on this list. I give you Mahomes at 1. I give you Lamar at 2. I give you Deshaun at 3. Kyler is 4th on this list by virtue of the position he plays, which is the position, quarterback, and by virtue of he was the offensive player of the year last year in the National Football League, playing for the worst team with arguably the worst offensive line. I predicted to you all year he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. I called it before the year started, and I lauded and applauded him from the start. With that bad football team that was able to take him #1 overall, right out of the box as the rawest rookie at quarterback, he tied the Detroit Lions on opening day. And then from that point, he beat Atlanta. He won at the Giants. Again, they're the Giants, but he won. He beat the Browns at home. That's pretty good. And he won at the Seahawks. And even more impressively, he gave the 49ers all they wanted twice. He almost beat them home and away. That's extraordinary because Pro Football Focus says he was the 6th best deep ball thrower in the league last year. I know he's only 5'10"-ish, but that little man has a huge arm. That little man threw the 10th most Pro Football Focus grades, catchable passes. He threw more catchable passes last year behind that line than Mahomes did behind his line, or Deshaun, or Lamar. He threw more catchable passes. He had an extraordinary year. They were 5-10-1, but I still thought that should catapult him at least to the 4th spot. And I had to stomach this list in which there are 5 young DBs ranked above him on this list. They're really good, but they're just defensive backs. And I look at Marshawn Lattimore, Marlon Humphrey, Jamal Adams. By the way, he's now big contract stalemate. Jamal Adams, I'm just going to quickly aside this one. He's always more trouble than he's worth. He always causes the Jets more problems than he causes the opposition. And he's ranked all the way at 12, while Kyler's at 19. And then we get to Derwin James, and we get to Minkah Fitzpatrick. They're all really nice players, very valuable, but not nearly as valuable as the quarterback that is Kyler Murray. And I'm here to predict to you, I already told you, Kyler is going to take a quantum leap this year. He's going to turn the Cardinals into a wild card team. He's got, obviously, a new security blanket receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. I loved Isaiah Simmons in the draft. I liked him even a little more than I liked Chase Young. So he will give new energy and new striking power to the defense. And I love where they're headed. I think they're going to be a wild card team because their schedule is not that tough to me. So my point is, I think there's going to come a time when Kyler will compete with the 3 quarterbacks above him. That's how much I believe in him. But after 1 year, you should see enough. He should be 4th on this list. And now to your points, Quentin Nelson, you're going to I don't care how great he is. I don't care if he's in the Hall of Fame. He's not going to be more valuable than the quarterback, Kyler Murray. Stop it. It's just wrong. He can't, a guard. He's not even a tackle. He's a guard. Maybe if he's the left tackle, maybe, but probably not. And Christian McCaffrey's a really nice player. I love him. He's a great kid. Loved having him on at the Super Bowl. But the Panthers didn't make the playoffs last year. They gave him a boatload of money. That's why Jamal Adams wants his money, because obviously Christian McCaffrey went after him in the draft, and now he's getting his 3rd-year money that Jamal wants. So the point is, Christian didn't change life in Carolina, and I don't think he will. He's, as you said, one of the best all-around backs, but there's no quarter in front of back. quarterback is
But here's
Kyler
the thing,
Murray.
Skip.
Shannon, it's not
Skip.
close. It's not a fair fight.
But you remember, Skip, we talked about, and I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey is Walter Payton, but Walter Payton, there are a lot of years that they didn't make the playoffs, but that didn't devalue him to say that he wasn't good. And you look at Christian McCaffrey, what would they have been? It's not like Kyler Murray made the playoffs either, Skip. You talk about Christian McCaffrey, you said he's the quarterback. He touches the ball more, so he should have won more games, had a bigger impact. Now, we don't know what would have happened had Cam stayed healthy. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't have. But the fact of the matter is, this kid is the best all-around back in football. He's special. Now, like I said, some of these DBs, Skip, I get that. But, you know, Joey Bosa was Defensive Player of the Year. He's still a premier, and the positions that they play is the guy that throws the ball and the guy that can get the guy on the ground that can keep him from throwing it. Mm-hmm. So they put premiums on pass rushers, Skip, and I think that's why Bosa is so high. Now, I'll give you Quentin Nelson. Whoo, that's way up there for a guard. But, Skip, he's only been in the league a couple of years, and he's been first-team All-Pro and made the Pro Bowl. So he's special, Skip. This guy, this is a special talent. Now, time will tell, is he going to be John Hannah? You know, many think John Hannah is the best guard of, well, I think it's Larry Allen, but Larry Allen and John Hannah are the two best guards in football. But this kid, Skip, this kid is mean. He can run block, he can pass protect, and he's there every Sunday. You can count on him.
Okay, Shannon, I'll give you Joey Bosa at 5. Yeah. He is a game changer. Yeah. He is a disruptor. I give you that. Mm-hmm. But Kyler should be 4 ahead of Quentin Nelson. If you want to put Quentin Nelson at 6, you got it's Myles Garrett right now who comes and goes. I don't know. He's got huge ability. I just don't know if he consistently changes games. Whatever. I'm sorry. You have been anti-Kyler from the start, maybe because I'm an Oklahoma fan and I saw it coming. But you got to give in to this. He is coming, and he's coming of age quickly, and this is going to be Kyler's year. The schedule sets up for it. By the end of the year, this ranking will look laughable. Trust me.
Skip, I put him in the top 10. What do you want me to do? You want me to put him in front of Mahomes, Deshaun, or Lamar? Is that where you want me to put him? I put him in the top 10. I brought him up 9 spots. No, I can't do that.
Grudgingly.
I cannot in good conscience do that.
No mercy.
Sunday on Fox, the NASCAR season continues with the Coca-Cola 600 live from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Catch all the action beginning at 6 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So good to have racing back. So, after Paul Pierce left LeBron off his top 10 of all-time list, some said it was Pierce being petty. Now, former Celtics teammate Kendrick Perkins said that Pierce spit at LeBron during a preseason game in LeBron's rookie year, and they almost got into a fight when returning to their locker rooms. Pierce later confirmed the spitting story on Twitter. This was crazy to me. Shannon, what does this tell you about Pierce and LeBron and their relationship?
Well, it was always personal with Paul Pierce, and although he tried to downplay and says he's being objective and yada, 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 we know the vitriol that he displayed towards LeBron James. It was always personal. Now, Skip, I get that when LeBron came into the league, he was very hyped. We had never seen anything like this. 17-year-old kid on Sports Illustrated going straight from high school to the NBA draft and said he's the chosen one. He's going to be this and that and that. Now, Skip, this is no different than any sport. You come into the National Football League, you come in with a Heisman Trophy or a Thorpe Award or Biletnikoff. Guys are going to see, is this for real? I need to see why you got this award. I need to see if all this hype that you're about is legit. Okay, we're going to put you to the test. Be it mini camp, training camp, especially training camp, and come game time, guys are going to test, is this hype for real? Oh, so, okay, now you legit. But that's as far as it goes. To have a personal beef because someone is better than you. Basically, from the time LeBron stepped into the NBA, he was a better player than Paul Pierce. Ain't no debating that. Maybe his first year he wasn't, but shortly thereafter, Skip, he was better. Now, and I've said this, Skip, and you know basketball, you've been around both sports, you cover both sports. But the mentality of a football player and the mentality of a basketball player is different. Because the way we look at it, Skip, and I think for me, Skip, being from the South, that's almost like saying the N-word. But see, the way I look at it, Skip, if I don't deal with you and you do something disrespectful towards me, I believe you're being disrespectful to me because you know I don't fool with you. Well, Paul Pierce know LeBron don't get down with him like that, but he said he don't think he got on anybody. But see, I'd had to have a conversation with Paul. I'm like, look, Paul, you and I, we don't rock. So let's just go ahead and let's don't do anything that's going to cause me, the NBA or my fans and your fans to look at us differently. So let's just let's be amicable. We can be friendly. We don't have to be friends. I don't get down with you. You don't get down with me. Now, what you did, you know you were wrong for that. But Skip, man, look here, that spitting thing, like I said, Skip, maybe because I'm from the South and we view that differently. But Skip, ooh, man. Yes, me and Paul, we had to have a conversation. I had to talk to him. I had to have a conversation with him, Skip.
Okay, but LeBron James was not Shannon Sharpe. LeBron's different than Shannon Sharpe. I've said from the start, LeBron sometimes is almost too nice of a guy. Obviously supremely gifted, but more of a lover than a fighter. This animosity, this resentment, this jealousy, whatever it was, it ran deep in Paul Pierce. And I remind you, Shannon, before LeBron arrived on the scene, Paul Pierce had made 3 All-Star teams. Those Boston teams weren't very good at that point, and he was nicknamed, as you well remember, the Truth. He was the truth. He was difficult to stop. He thought he was LeBron before LeBron. The Paul Pierce a lot of our younger fans got to know later in his career was more of a caricature. He did play with the proverbial piano on his back because he did not keep himself in LeBron-esque shape later in his career. No. And he looked a little bad when he came out in the finals in the wheelchair, remember, and tried to get out of the wheelchair, save the game. Yeah. Okay. That guy was different than this guy because this is all the way back to the preseason of 2004. And he had such deep resentment, I don't know, bordered on hatred of LeBron because I think he saw LeBron as not a tough guy. And yet he also saw LeBron as a huge threat to the truth. So he challenged him to the point of he spat at him. He didn't spit on him, but he said it went in the direction of the bench upon which LeBron was sitting in a preseason game in Columbus, Ohio. And we all know LeBron grew up a huge Ohio State Buckeye fan. So it was really kind of LeBron's homecoming sort of game. And Paul took it so personally, he's going to spit at them. And then, according to Kendrick Perkins, in the hallway after the game, Paul had to be restrained from going after LeBron. I don't know who would have won that fight. I'm glad it didn't happen because it would have been a mess. And Kendrick said that he had to step in and stop some of the other Cavaliers, starting with, I think he said Drew Gooden wanted to get in the middle of it. I'm not sure he would have had much of a shot against Kendrick Perkins. But the point was, that's how deep this thing ran, which is why, in the end, Paul Pierce is not going to give in to LeBron as a top 5 player in Paul's ranking because he still has deep animosity toward LeBron, obviously.
But Skip, and that happens a lot in our community, Skip. Somebody gets a job. Oh, you got a new job. You think you better than me. Oh, you got a car. You think you better than me. Well, you did this. Oh, you think you better than me. Skip, sometimes a person, they might be better at something than you. That doesn't necessarily mean they think they're better than you. LeBron James was better at the game of basketball than Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce took that as, oh, you think you better than me. Yeah, I am. That doesn't mean I'm a better person than you. I'm a better basketball player than you. So why are you getting upset? We can prove it. We can sell it here on the court. But, Skip, for me, like I said, when you go into a new league, Skip, and you know guys come in there with Bucs Award winners or Nagurski or whatever award they won. Skip, I needed to see. If you won the Bucs Award, I need to see why you won that award. So, okay, Paul Pierce wanted to see why LeBron. Okay, after a while, you're like, okay, dude, legit. He can play.
Okay, I remind you what Paul Pierce was made of, especially early in his career. Do you remember what happened in 2000? Paul Pierce happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time at a nightclub in Boston called the Buzz Club.
Yeah.
And he got into it, and one thing led to another and another. He got stabbed 11 times in that fracas and lived to tell about it. Knock on wood for him. God bless you. Because that was tough. He got his lung punctured, and he had stab wounds all up in his neck and head. He was lucky to get out of that one alive. But Paul had some of that in him. So I could see where Paul said, let's settle this. Shannon Sharpe would say, okay, let's settle it afterwards. I'll meet you in the alley out behind the stadium, and we'll settle this once and for all. I just don't think LeBron was cut from the Shannon Sharpe cloth. I get Shannon Sharpe and I get LeBron, but again, go ahead.
But see, that's the thing, though, Skip. You have to be careful, is because the one thing that people value, I don't care if the guy is in the street or the guy is the highest to high. They demanded respect now. And Paul Pierce wasn't showing those guys the respect that they deserve. Now, if you don't give a street guy, Skip, when I go, I get my hair cut in what they call in an area that's, but I show everybody respect. Because if they don't, they'll send for you. Now, they're going to get that one way or another. You give it to them. You think because, you in the NBA, you the NFL. Nah, you got to give every man deserves that level of respect. And if you don't give it to him, he'll take it. Or he'll make you fight him for it. And so the thing with LeBron, and that's not how LeBron is built. LeBron is not like that. LeBron wants to be peaceful, all about camaraderie. But, man, sometimes, you got to drop the things, Skip. You got to say, we got to do what we got to do.
No mercy.
Cowboys rookie wide receiver CeeDee Lamb said after the draft he originally chose number 10 over 88, but he said after going, quote, more in depth with the situation, he realized the importance of 88 to the Cowboys franchise and that he wants to continue the numbers legacy. Shannon, I'm going to ask you about CeeDee and embracing 88, but who's joining you right now?
Well, this is Taz. Go by the name of Baby, a.k.a. Baby, and this is Tarzan, who goes by the name of Tugman. Skip, look, but he said that's the Cowboys' legacy. He said that's not his. He said he wanted to be 10. Skip, there should have been a choice. Jerry Jones floated that idea, said CeeDee Lamb, last name, and Jeremy Lamb, what his name, Jeremy Skip, one of Jerry's old teammates, played with him at Arkansas.
Jerry
and
Lamb.
Wow. Who would have ever thought? Skip, it had to be a sign from God that I get an opportunity to draft a wide receiver. My best friend in college was a wide receiver, and their both last name is Lamb. Skip, look, I get it. I understand the tradition of 88 in Dallas, but Skip, that wasn't CeeDee Lamb's original choice. He wanted to be DeAndre Hopkins. He didn't want to be Michael Irvin. He didn't want to be Dez Bryant. He's from Texas, so he knows and understands what 88 is. DeAndre Hopkins was his hero, and that's who he wanted to mimic. And Jerry Jones forced 88 on it.
Okay. I hear what you just said. I first want to say that I love it that CeeDee Lamb did take the high road yesterday, and I do think it's a very cool Cowboy tradition that they don't retire 88. They just keep bequeathing it to the next 88. It goes from Drew Pearson, obviously, to Michael Irvin, to Dez Bryant, now to CeeDee Lamb. I do believe that CeeDee will be able to live up to the runaway hype that you say I created, that I detonated, and that I'm guilty of creating. And yet, I'm also with you. Jerry Jones did have this teammate at Arkansas on the '64 championship team that became one of his closest confidants and best friends. And he recently passed away, Jerry Lamb, as in Jerry Jones and CeeDee Lamb, and he wore 88 in college. I think Jerry railroaded CeeDee into accepting 88 when he wanted to honor his high school hero, who was DeAndre Hopkins, because CeeDee was in the Houston area, and obviously he played for the Houston Texans. DeAndre did.
Correct. I agree with you, Skip. And I believe, and Jerry, didn't Michael Irvin tell CeeDee that Jerry can be very persuasive? At some point in time, you're going to have to stand up to him and say no.
Stand up to him.
This was one of the times.
Yep.
This was one of the times I believe you should have said no. Tell him bye, baby.
All right, guys, that is it for Undisputed. Shannon, love the dogs. Appreciate that debut. We'll be back Monday, same time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.